Your apartment walls are not protection, they are concealment. And to a 155mm artillery shell, they are barely even that. Most people believe urban warfare is something that happens in history books or on the evening news, far away from their local Starbucks. But cities are fragile biological organisms. Cut the arteries, power and water, and the organism dies in 3 days. Break the bones, bridges and roads, and the organism becomes a trap. When the tanks roll into a dense urban environment, the rules of civilized existence do not just bend, they evaporate. You are not a citizen anymore. You are biomass in a combat zone. The goal today isn't to teach you how to be a hero. Heroes in urban warfare usually end up as unrecognisable grey matter on a basement wall. The goal is to teach you how to become a ghost. We are going to walk through the life cycle of a modern siege, from the first siren to the final extraction, and calculate exactly how to keep your heart beating when the city itself tries to kill you. This isn't a camping guide. We aren't talking about starting fires with flint and steel. We are talking about ballistics, thermal imaging, caloric deficits, and the psychology of desperate neighbours. I am going to run this simulation through 5 specific phases of escalation. We will look at the narrative reality of each phase, what it smells like, what it sounds like, and then we will dissect the physics of survival for that specific threat. If you want to survive the collapse of the grid, the breakdown of law, and the arrival of heavy armour, you need to lock in. Secure your spot in this briefing now by paying attention to the details that most preppers ignore. The difference between a stockpile and a loot drop is often just a matter of operational security. Let's begin with Phase 1, the kinetic opening. It starts on a Tuesday evening. You are washing dishes. The internet has been spotty all day, rumours flying on Telegram, but the traffic outside looks normal. Then, the air pressure in the room changes. It's not a sound at first, it's a physical punch to your chest. 2 seconds later, the sound arrives, a tearing noise, like the sky is ripping open, followed by a thunderclap that rattles your teeth. The window above the sink doesn't just break, it vaporises inward. Shards of glass, moving faster than a furious hornet, embed themselves in the dry wall across the room. Car alarms scream in a chorus. Smoke, thick and tasting of copper and burning plastic, rolls down the street. You look out the jagged hole where your window used to be and see the apartment block across the street. The top 3 floors are gone. Just gone. Replaced by a jagged silhouette of rebar and dust. This isn't a drill. The artillery barrage has begun, and your coordinates are on the grid. In that moment, 90% of the population makes a fatal error. It is a biological impulse, hardwired into us. Curiosity. When the blast hits, they run to the window to see what happened. Or they run out into the street, phones raised, trying to record the smoke plume. This is the rubbernecking reflex, and in modern urban warfare, it is a death sentence. Why? Because artillery rarely strikes once. It comes in batteries. It walks. The first shell is for calibration. The next 6 are for effect. The people standing at their windows, filming the destruction across the street, are shredded when the second round lands 50 metres closer. They treat the war like a spectator sport, because their brains cannot process that the front line has just shifted to their front door. They assume emergency services are coming. They assume there are rules. They stand in the open, surrounded by glass, waiting for a fragment of hot steel to intersect with their carotid artery. Here is the physics of your survival in the first hour. Glass is your enemy. In a blast overpressure event, windows become claymore mines aimed at the interior of your home. If you have advanced warning, you tape them in an X pattern, but that only stops large shards. The real move is to abandon the perimeter. You need to identify the hard core of your building. In a modern apartment, this is usually the hallway or a bathroom, an inner room with no windows and at least 2 walls between you and the outside world. Concrete is good, brick is okay, drywall is nothing. If you are in a high-rise, get off the top floors immediately. Indirect fire hits roofs. But do not go to the ground floor yet. The ground floor collects debris and is the first place panicked crowds and looting soldiers will breach. The sweet spot is the middle, floors 3 through 5. You need to create a spall shield. Flip a heavy table on its side in your inner hallway. Mattress behind it. You curl up in the triangle of life behind that density. You are minimizing your surface area against the geometry of shrapnel. But here is the twist specific to modern urban doctrine. The enemy knows you are hiding in the hallways. They know you are seeking cover. So they switch ammunition. They stop using high explosive impact rounds and switch to delayed fuse penetrators or thermobaric weapons. A delayed fuse punches through the roof or the wall and detonates inside the structure. A thermobaric round disperses a fuel cloud that seeps around corners into your safe hallway and then ignites. It creates a vacuum that ruptures lungs, even if the shrapnel misses you. This means static defence is a temporary measure. If your building is being targeted, the safe room is just a coffin with a delay timer. You must have a bug-out threshold. If the structural integrity of the building groans, if the impacts are walking systematically toward your coordinate, you do not hunker down. You move. And you move through the mouse holes, not the lobby. Day 4. The shelling has become a rhythmic background noise, like thunder that never stops. But the immediate threat isn't the explosion anymore, it's the faucet. You turn the handle, and instead of a steady stream, the pipes cough. A sputtering gasp of brown sludge, then air, then silence. The municipal pumps have been hit, or the power running them has been cut. The toilet tank is empty. The silence in the pipes is louder than the artillery. You look at the 6 bottles of water in your pantry. You do the math. 3 people. 2 litres a day for survival. That is 1 day of water. Outside, the temperature is rising. The city smells different now. Not just smoke, but something sweeter. Rot and sewage beginning to back up in the mains. You hear fighting 3 blocks over, but inside, the battle is against your own kidneys. Your mouth is dry, your head throbs, and the realization hits. You are going to die of dehydration in an apartment full of flat-screen TVs and designer furniture. Desperation makes people stupid. When the taps run dry, the average civilian starts looking for any liquid. They remember the water heater, which is good, but then they look at the toilet bowl. Or they run a bucket out to the street to collect rainwater from a puddle that is shimmering with oil and runoff from the exploded transformer down the block. They boil it, thinking that kills everything. Boiling kills bacteria, yes. It does not remove heavy metals, chemical agents, or fuel toxins. But worse is the hygiene collapse. Without water to flush, people hold it, or they use a bucket and dump it out the window. The street becomes an open sewer. Then they handle food with unwashed hands. In the siege of Sarajevo and in Mariupol, dysentery incapacitated more people than snipers. Once you are sick, you are dehydrated faster. It is a feedback loop. You drink bad water because you are thirsty. The water makes you vomit. You lose more fluids. You die. Let's fix the math. The moment the first shell dropped back in Phase 1, your first action shouldn't have been to check the news. It should have been to plug the bathtub and fill it. That is 50 gallons of potable water. That is your life insurance. If you missed that window, you are scavenging. You need to know the hidden reservoirs. The hot water heater tank has 40 to 60 gallons. Use the drain valve at the bottom, but filter the sediment. The toilet tank, the upper part, not the bowl, is clean water. Canned vegetables are packed in water. Drink it. But the golden rule of urban siege survival is separation of fluids. You need grey water for hygiene and white water for internal consumption. Never mix them. If you must scavenge from the outside, you need a multi-stage filtration system, not just a life straw. A life straw clogs in 2 days with urban silt. You need a pre-filter, a t-shirt or coffee filter, to get the muck out, then boiling or chemical tabs for the biology, then activated charcoal for the chemicals. And you never ever eat snow in a war zone. It collects every toxin from the air. Here is the twist regarding urban water sources. The enemy logistics team knows the city grid better than you do. They know where the community wells are. They know which public fountains still work. And they do not destroy them. They range them. A working water pump in a besieged city is not a resource. It is a kill zone. Snipers will set up overlooking the water source and wait. They won't shoot the first person. They wait for a crowd to gather with their plastic jugs. Or worse, they use wounding logic. They shoot one person in the leg. That person screams. 2 others run out to help. Now the sniper has 3 targets. If you see a working water source in the open and there are bodies near it, do not assume you are faster than the bullet. You must treat water collection as a tactical raid. Total darkness, soft shoes, noise discipline. You are not filling a jug, you are stealing life from a trap. Week 2. The food is low. You have to move. You need to get to your cousin's place 4 blocks away, where they have a generator. You dress for the occasion. You put on your sturdy hiking boots, your cargo pants with the extra pockets, and that tactical-looking backpack you bought for camping. You think you look prepared. You step out into the alley, moving low. You check your corners. You feel like an operator. You make it 2 blocks. Then a patrol turns the corner ahead. 4 men in mismatched fatigues carrying AK-74s. They spot you instantly. They don't see a civilian. They see a combat-age male wearing military-adjacent gear with a backpack that could hold explosives. To them, you look like a saboteur or a mercenary. They shout a command you don't understand. You freeze. The one on the left raises his rifle. You thought looking tough would protect you. Instead, you just dressed up as a target. The tactical prepper aesthetic gets people killed. In a chaotic urban war, soldiers are terrified. They are exhausted, jumpy, and looking for threats. Anything that breaks the visual pattern of helpless civilian triggers their engagement reflex. Camouflage patterns, even fashion camo, are a death warrant. Tactical vests, radios on shoulders, drop leg holsters, these signal combatant. But the opposite is also dangerous. If you wear a suit and tie or expensive jewellery, you signal high-value hostage or looting opportunity to the criminal gangs that fill the power vacuum. The mistake is trying to look formidable. You don't want to look formidable. You want to look like part of the background scenery. You want to be visually sliding off their eyes. The failed reaction is thinking that your gear commands respect. In this environment, your gear commands a bullet, so they can take it off your corpse. True grey man theory in a war zone is about poverty and irrelevance. You want to look slightly dirty, tired, and defeated. Wear layers of mismatched, dull colours, greys, browns, faded blues. No bright reds, no neon. Swap the tactical backpack for a dirty, reusable grocery bag or a worn-out messenger bag. If you are carrying a weapon, it must be deeply concealed. If a checkpoint finds it, you are dead. but if you display it, you are dead faster. Walk with a slow, deliberate pace. Running draws fire. Sneaking draws fire. You walk like you are looking for water, head slightly down, hands empty and visible. If you encounter troops, you stop moving. You show your palms. You do not make eye contact. That is a challenge. You look at their chest rigs. You make yourself small. The goal is to be dismissed as non-threat, non-resource. You are just another rat in the rubble. That is how you survive the street. But here is the modern technological nightmare: thermal imaging. The old advice was move at night. In World War II, darkness was your friend. In modern urban warfare, darkness is when the monsters wake up. Drones, attack helicopters, and even infantry squads have thermal optics. To a thermal sensor, you are a glowing white beacon against a cold grey city. You cannot hide your body heat. If you move down the centre of a street at 2 a.m, a drone operator 3 kilometres away sees you as clearly as if it were noon. This flips the script. Sometimes, moving during the day, mixed in with a small group of other civilians during a lull in fighting, is safer than moving at night. If you must move at night, you cannot just use shadows. You need thermal cover. You move behind solid objects, stone walls, dense hedges, vehicles. You use thermal clutter, areas where fires are burning or vents are exhausting heat, to mask your signature. But understand, the night belongs to the side with the batteries. It's been 3 weeks. The front line has shifted again. Now it's on your block. You are in your apartment, huddled in the hallway. You hear the glass breaking downstairs, shouting in a language you don't speak, heavy boots thudding on the stairs. They are clearing the building, floor by floor. You hear the kick, the crash of a door, the burst of automatic fire. Then silence. Then the next door. They are getting closer. You locked your front door. You pushed the sofa in front of it. You have a kitchen knife in your hand. You are shaking so hard you can barely hold it. The boots stop outside your door. There is no knock. There is a shotgun blast at the hinges, a deafening boom that sucks the air out of the room. The door flies inward, splintered wood spraying the hallway. A flashbang rolls across the floor, a blinding white light, a noise that erases your hearing. You are on the ground, disoriented, vomiting. Men with rifles are standing over you. Your locked door bought you exactly 0 seconds of safety. The mistake here was relying on the fatal funnel. A doorway is the most dangerous place in a room. It is where all the attention, all the fire, and all the force is directed. By barricading the door, you signalled that there was something valuable or dangerous inside. You turned your apartment into a fortress, and militaries deal with fortresses using overwhelming firepower. Civilians think a lock protects them. In CQB, close quarters battle, a lock is just a suggestion. If you resist from the deep corner of the room, you are cornered. If you charge the door, you are running into a wall of lead. The failed reaction is playing Home Alone with traps and barricades against a squad of professionals who clear rooms for a living. They will not play your game. They will frag the room first and ask questions later. To survive a building clearing, you need to understand ballistics in domestic architecture. Modern interior walls are drywall and wood studs. They do not stop bullets. An AK-47 round will pass through 6 interior walls and still kill you. A sofa does not stop bullets. A flipped table does not stop bullets. That is concealment. It hides you, but it doesn't protect you. Cover stops bullets. A cast iron bathtub. A concrete structural pillar. A stack of books 2 feet thick. If you hear clearing teams, Do not stand behind the door. Lie flat on the floor. Bullets tend to go high in CQB. Laying prone reduces your profile. If you are unarmed and non-combatant, you scream "civilian" or "family" repeatedly. You keep your hands empty and spread wide. You do not hold a phone. You do not move. If you have a weapon, understand that using it is a suicide pact. You might get the first guy through the door, but the second guy will turn the room into Swiss cheese through the wall. Your best survival mechanism is aggressive submission. The twist is that the enemy might not even use the door. In intense urban combat, soldiers use a tactic called mouse-holing. They know hallways and doors are booby-trapped or covered by fire. So they use explosives or sledgehammers to blow a hole through the wall from the adjacent apartment. They come through the pantry. They come through the bathroom mirror. This means your secure perimeter is an illusion. The walls are permeable. If you are sheltering in a row of attached buildings, you need to be aware that the threat can materialise through the solid brick wall beside you. This is why you never hug the walls during an assault. You stay toward the centre of the structural hardpoints, low to the ground. The geometry of the room is fluid. The map you have of your own home is obsolete the moment the breaching charges go off. Week 5. You survived the clearing. The troops moved on, leaving a wrecked neighbourhood behind. You are starving. You have 3 cans of tuna and a bag of rice left. There is a knock at the door. It's Dave from 4B. You know Dave. He borrowed your lawnmower once. He looks skeletal. He asks if you have any food. He says his kids haven't eaten in 2 days. He's crying. You feel the pull of humanity. You want to help. But you notice something. Dave isn't alone. Standing in the shadows of the stairwell are 2 other men from the building. Men you don't know as well. They aren't crying. They are watching your eyes. They are watching your hands. They are assessing your health. You realise with a cold jolt that this isn't a social call. This is a reconnaissance mission. If you give Dave a can of tuna, you prove you have a surplus. If you refuse, you become the enemy. The Community Garden Committee is gone. This is primal. The most dangerous lie in survival is that we are all in this together. In the beginning, yes, but as the calorie deficit deepens, altruism becomes a luxury. The failed reaction is total transparency, telling your neighbours what you have, sharing openly, trying to organise a commune without security. When people watch their children starve, their morality shifts. They will rationalise taking your food. They will say, "You are hoarding," to justify kicking in your door. If you give food away, you paint a target on your back. You signal that you are a supply depot. But if you aggressively hoard and flaunt it, you also paint a target. You cannot be the fat guy in a starving village. You have to look as hungry as they are, even if you have a stash. This is OPSEC, Operational Security, applied to your friends. Rule 1. Never cook smelly food. The smell of frying spam can travel 3 floors. That smell is a dinner bell for desperate men. Eat cold food or boil it. Smells less. Rule 2. Cache your supplies. Do not keep everything in one pile in the kitchen. Hide food inside the hollow spaces of drywall, under the floorboards, inside the toilet tank. If you get raided, let them find the decoy stash, a small amount of food in the pantry. They take it and leave, thinking they cleaned you out. If the pantry is totally empty, they will keep tearing the house apart looking for the hiding spot. Rule 3. If you give charity, you do it anonymously or lie about the source. I found this single can outside. I'm splitting it with you. Never, I have plenty. You have to manage the envy of the group. You need to be an asset to the tribe, offering skills, labour, medical help, rather than a resource to be consumed. The darker twist is that the occupying force will weaponize your neighbours against you. They will set up a hotline or a drop box, report suspicious activity or hoarding in exchange for fresh bread and medicine. Dave from 4B might not raid you himself. He might just whisper your apartment number to a patrol in exchange for a pack of antibiotics for his kid. This breaks the social trust completely. You can no longer speak openly about your political views, your supplies, or your plans. The walls literally have ears. You have to compartmentalize your life. Trust needs to be earned in blood, not proximity. In a high-stakes occupation, the person who knows where you sleep is the most dangerous person in the world. Week 8. The radio announces a humanitarian corridor, a ceasefire. Tuesday, between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m, civilians can leave via the Northern Highway. It sounds like salvation. You pack your bag. You join the river of people flowing toward the checkpoint. Thousands of grey, dusty faces. Cars taped with "children" signs. You reach the checkpoint. It's a bottleneck. Heavily armed soldiers are checking IDs. They are separating men from women. They are searching bags. You see a pile of confiscated items: knives, radios, cash, gold wedding rings. A soldier points at your phone. "Unlock it," he says. He scrolls through your photos, your messages. He sees a meme you saved 2 years ago criticizing the government. He looks up at you. The line behind you stops. The ceasefire has 10 minutes left. You realize the corridor isn't an exit, it's a filter. The mistake is trusting the "safe passage" label. Historically, humanitarian corridors are often traps. They are used to flush civilians out of a city so the military can level it without bad press. Or they are used to screen the population for dissidents and military-age males. The failed reaction is walking into this checkpoint blind, carrying all your valuables and your digital history. People think, "I'm a civilian, I have nothing to hide." You have everything to hide. Your contact list, your GPS history, your photos, these are intelligence. If you are a military-age male, you might be conscripted on the spot. If you have too much cash, it will be seized as taxes. If you run when the shooting starts, and it often does, corridors are fragile, you are running in a pre-sighted kill box. If you take the corridor, you must sanitize. Digital hygiene is paramount. Wipe your phone, factory reset it, or better yet, ditch your smartphone and carry a burner with zero data. Hide your SIM card in the lining of your shoe, or swallow it if you have to. Do not carry large amounts of cash in one place. Sew bills into the waistband of your pants, under the soles of your boots. Keep a bribe wallet in your pocket with a small, acceptable amount of cash to be stolen. Documents. You need your ID, deed to your house, birth certificates. Laminate them or wrap them in plastic. If they get wet and ruin, you are a stateless ghost. But the most important logistic is the go, no-go decision. Watch the checkpoint from a distance for an hour before joining the line. Are they letting people through? Are they arresting men? Are shots being fired? Never be the first one in the line, and never be the last. Be in the middle of the herd. The final twist of the escape is the route itself. The road is clear of tanks, yes, but the verges, the grass on the side of the road, are not. Mines. PFM1 butterfly mines. They look like little plastic toys or leaves. They are scattered by artillery shells by the thousands. If you step off the asphalt to relieve yourself, you lose a foot. If the convoy stops and you walk around the car, you die. The corridor is a strict geometric tunnel. You must stay on the hardball surface where the tyres have gone before you. If the road is blocked, you do not drive through the field. You turn around. The psychological pressure to just go around is immense, but the minefields are laid specifically to punish that impatience. The exit is the most dangerous part of the siege because you drop your guard just as you see the finish line. Let's say you make it. You survive the shelling, the thirst, the clearing teams, the starvation, and the checkpoint. You get out. Or the war ends and you walk out of your basement into the sunlight. You think you survived. But the city has one last weapon: the long shadow. The infrastructure is dead. The water is poisoned with heavy metals from the munitions. The dust you are breathing is pulverised concrete and asbestos. And the unexploded ordnance, UXO, is everywhere. A 10% failure rate on artillery shells means for every 1,000 rounds fired, 100 bombs are waiting in the rubble for a child to kick them. You aren't safe just because the treaty is signed. You are living in a hazardous waste site. Survival doesn't end when the shooting stops. It just shifts to a chronic phase. You have to rebuild your life in a landscape that is fundamentally hostile to human biology. Urban warfare is the future of combat. The world is urbanizing. The wars follow the people. This wasn't a history lesson, it was a forecast. The skills to harden a room, filter water from a toilet tank, and move unseen through a thermal landscape are not paranoid fantasies. They are the new literacy of the 21st century. But knowing the tactics is only half the equation. The other half is the mindset. The ability to switch off the civilian operating system and boot up the survivor protocol instantly. You have the data now, but data is useless without the will to use it. The grid is humming today, the water is running, but the timeline is fragile. If you want to understand the psychological armour you need to wear when society fractures completely, you need to be in the next briefing. We are going to deconstruct the psychology of total collapse. Secure your position. Stay sharp. You survived the simulation. Now survive the reality. Equip yourself at the official supply depot. Because if the world is going to end, you might as well look prepared.